The tourism ministry's hot topic today, and we begin with that. The ministry says it is engaging both local and foreign investors to boost the production, marketing, and local consumption of cocoa. Ghana's cocoa industry has maintained its position as the best quality cocoa in the world, but the low consumption rate in the country has continued to remain an issue. Now, speaking at a press encounter, the sector minister said government was deepening talks with potential investors.
One of the most pivotal and exciting projects underway for our ministry is the establishment of a cocoa museum. Ghana and Ivory Coast are the two leading producers of cocoa in the world. A world-class cocoa museum is in the offing to be set up at Mampon, Ekwapim in the eastern region. It is to be a public-private sector initiative primarily to encourage local consumption of cocoa. Besides the Tetekwashi farm, which we will replicate, it will bring to life a typical Ghanaian cocoa farm. It will also take tourists through the processing of cocoa into a variety of products, including the powders, creams, beverages, and wines, and an exhibition center that will showcase the history, the tools, and the background of cocoa farming in Ghana, and a boutique for the retail of made-in-Ghana cocoa-based products and other souvenirs. But most importantly, it is to honor the memory of Tetekwashi. The drawings and feasibility reports are ready. We have copies here, and we are proud to announce that we are in talks with Cocoa Board, CPC, and specific private partners in the cocoa sector who have all pledged their support. We will use this forum, this platform, to appeal to other cocoa producing, marketing and processing companies in Ghana to come on board with top-up investments. And I need to add here that GTA has been tasked to ensure that we commission the sword cutting ceremony on National Chocolate Day. Tourist Attractions Project. Using the Kintampo Memorandum of Understanding as a case study, the ministry has identified 33 sites across the country for some form of partnerships and upgrade and management of the tourist sites. To do this effectively, a legislative instrument on attraction has been approved by Cabinet on the 25th of January.
Now, selected local companies tasked to print textbooks for the country's educational sector have met quality delivery targets as scheduled. That's according to President of the Ghana Printers and Paper Converters Association, James Appiah-Berko, at a dinner to honor distinguished printing industry player William Esilfi Texan, who has served in various capacities for the past 50 years. The Ministry of Education was charged to print all textbooks locally in a bid to cut down on the cost of textbooks and to create more jobs for the industry. James Appiah-Berko says the local printing industry is now poised for a massive takeoff in the current industrialization agenda of government.
The Ministry of Education, acting in accordance with the erstwhile Mahama government's directive to print all textbooks locally, selected 8 printing companies with the capacity to print the volumes of textbooks required for the educational sector. Subsequently, the current government also granted some tax waivers on imported raw materials, also to help mitigate the cost of printing. The Ghana Printers and Paper Converters Association says the interventions have largely favored local printers. In an interview with Joy Business during a dinner to appreciate the remarkable service of an industry player, James Appiah-Berko, the president of the Printers Association, did not mince words, meeting their delivery targets. He is, however, calling for the policy to become an act.
We met the targets. We produced under a lot of financial constraints. We have met them. All our people did creditably well. They did perform creditably. The quality had no questions. In fact, a number of the books we printed or produced were of higher quality than the ones we import. We used higher quality paper in our production, and because of the quality of our paper, the output of our color work and the clarity and the opacity of the paper and everything contributed towards getting a better output than what we have seen so far from the imported realm. Right now, what we need is for us to be able to turn the policy into an act. Because governments come, governments go. Commitment by the leadership may not be the same as a written commitment in the form of an act. And when that is done, then even the tax administration cannot change the letter of what happens, because the difference between textbooks and exercise books must be properly sorted out. And with all those things, I believe that it's a matter of making sure that policy becomes either strengthened or changed into an act of parliament.
James Appiah-Beckon says local printers are positioning themselves to take advantage of opportunities under the One District, One Factory program.
The industry is poised. Every one of us is ready for a takeoff, because there is a belief that Ghana is entering the manufacturing age and taking up the challenge of doing local production. So the print industry should equally be up and doing about getting packaging material produced in this country.
The renowned industry player who was being celebrated, William Islifi Texan, advocated a policy to favor small and medium-scale enterprises to be able to get a fair share of printing jobs and not be overwhelmed by bigger firms.
Most of our printers, those in the medium and small scale, and they cannot meet the challenges of the procurement requirement act. So we pray that the government should come out with fashion out a policy, a procurement system which will be favorable to the small and medium scale industries. They shouldn't be given the same challenge that the big ones are going to face. Or a certain percentage of the job should be reserved for maybe the small and medium scale, so that they can quote based on their strength, to get their job.
Local printers are also urging government to reintroduce investment allowances for players in the sector, as well as granting employment tax reliefs to make the industry more attractive.
Meanwhile, Director of Finance and Administration of the Association of Ghana Industries, Nathan Kwakupomi, says the One District, One Factory program would help strengthen the decentralization of printing companies across the country. Currently, many printing firms are located within urban settings. Now, this situation does not augur too well for businesses located outside urban areas because of the additional costs for printing works done. Now, in an interview at the ceremony, we have been reporting about the 50 years of distinguished service of William Islifi Texan. The Director of Administration at AGA also urged local printers to be focused and produced to meet quality standards in order to justify the policy of government to get all textbooks printed locally.
Most of the printing companies are heavily concentrated in the urban areas. I realize that quite a lot of businesses that are outside these urban areas travel to these places to have their printing works done. So we believe this One District, One Factory concept with the printing sector will help with some decentralization, such that companies that rely heavily on these printing works will have some factories set up at their respective districts, which are outside the regional capitals, so that they will also benefit from it and will save them the cost of always having to travel to the regional capitals and then the urban cities to have their printing works done. So it will help strengthen the decentralization of the respective printing companies, and we believe this is something laudable. Hitherto there was this challenge of everything being sourced outside, and it was affecting the printers. I sent that some of them who trained themselves to come out with some printing works do not have their products or what they really produce being patronized or being purchased. But with this direction, it has really increased their market share. It has also created employment. So we believe this is something which is very laudable. And we urge the industry players, the printers, to also remain very focused on the quality and standards to keep themselves still in business and be sustainable.
In In other news tonight, the Bank of Ghana has reiterated its determination to move the country into an era of a cashless society. First Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Maxwell Opoku-Afari, said government was given a facelift to the regulatory system to harness cash-free transactions in the future. Dr. Opoku-Afari was speaking at the 4th edition of iFetch Flamingo Awards in Accra. Joy Business's Bismarck Awusa has more.
Mobile telecom companies in Ghana are currently leading the way into the cashless future, and this is evident in the stiff competition in the mobile money space. For instance, mobile money transactions improved by almost 99% between 2016 and 2017. Speaking at the 4th edition of the iFetch Flamingo Awards for Business and Financial Journalists, First Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Maxwell Opoku-Afari, re-emphasized the country's drift into a cashless society.
Financial inclusion in Ghana is expanding alongside creating employment opportunities. With the changing financial sector landscape, the Bank of Ghana revamped the payment and settlement system regulatory framework to support an expanding financial sector and promote a cash-light society. Currently, the Payment Systems Act 2003, which is Act 662, is being revised to consolidate all the laws relating to payment services and to regulate institutions that undertake payment services. We expect the revised payment system bill to be submitted to Parliament very soon.
Economist Professor John Gachi is advocating more investment in technology for convenience and flexibility in doing business.
Cashless is a progressive approach to our engagement. There is no country where they are gone full cashless. If you go to the US, you go to the store, you buy things, you pay with cash. I think up to a certain level. What we should do, we should make effort to deepen our commitment to some level of cashless economic activity. And this thing can be done when we vigorously invest in some infrastructure technology, I believe, which we have started for some time now. We need to deepen that, but I do not think that we should be dreaming that within a short period of time we are going to be cashless in this country. That will not be possible. But there is a need to bring about convenience in transaction, flexibility in transaction through some cashless transactions. And that will come by some of the infrastructure that have been put in place in the financial system. Some infrastructure have been put in place by the telecommunications subsector. And then I think we can enhance all those things.
Business Day newspaper reporter Felix de la Cluche emerged the ultimate winner of the year 2017.
Business and Financial Journalist of the Year 2017, Mr. Felix de la Cluche. Thank you very much.
Other winners were Francisca Ahen of GH1 TV for Best Manufacturing Story, Kwabena Edu Karantin of the New Crusading Guide for Best Development Story, Jessica Echiampon of Graphic Business for Best Extractive Story, Rebecca Iwa of GTV for Best Tourism News Story, among others. This year's iFetch Flamingo Award ceremony was under the theme, Embracing Financial Inclusion and Innovations for Growth and Development.
Well, still on the subject of a cashless society, the number of persons using biometric smart card eSwitch witnessed a significant increase over the past 1 year. That's according to data released by the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement System. The following Business Desk report has more on the drivers of this growth.
Reports show that the number of persons using the card shot up by 26% from 2016 to reach 2.3 million in 2017, whilst total value of transactions on the eSwitch card hit 3.4 billion cedis last year, up by 45%. According to managers of the platform, the growth in the number value can be attributed to the use of the card by government as medium of payment for some projects, salaries for some public servants, as well as some holders receiving their remittances on it, with total value going up by almost 400% to reach 62 million cedis. The report also reveals some significant increased volume and value of most services that the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement System is managing, like clearinghouse for checks, the platform for ATM clearance, and Gibbs Instant Pay.
Turning to the subject of illegal mining, and President of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Kwame Adokufo, is pledging to partner small-scale miners to improve their operations to ensure sustainable mining. Small-scale mining, which forms 34% of Ghana's mining industry, is currently under a ban by government to enable it to regularize activities in the sector. Kwame Adokufo says the Chamber of Mines is committed to supporting improved mining standards.
Small-scale sector is 34% of Ghana's production, or represents 34%. We are the remainder. Now, our position as a chamber is that the future of mining is responsible mining, it's sustainable mining. So if the government is putting steps in place to ensure that happens, then we must support them to do that. I believe once the ban is lifted, we will have a much stronger and more vibrant small-scale sector, and we as a chamber are committed to partnering them to improve the standards of
Ghana's mining industry accounts for 5% of GDP, as minerals resources make up 37% of total exports and is the major source of foreign exchange for the economy. But this trend, according to the CEO of the Chamber of Mines, can't be sustained due to a lack of investor confidence in the industry. Speaking to Joy Business, Suleiman Ukoni emphasizes only strong and sustained fiscal investment in the sector can see it become more competitive and attractive to investors.
Our position as a chamber is that the future of mining is responsible mining, it's sustainable mining. So if the government is putting steps in place to ensure that happens, then we must support them to do that. I believe once the ban is lifted, we will have a much stronger and more vibrant small-scale sector, and we as a chamber are committed to partnering them to improve the standards of mining. In fact, we are discussing various collaborations which we can put in place to support them with their safety and environmental capacity building, and we will be supporting them once the ban is lifted on improving the way they mine, the technology and the safety aspects.
But how could governments pursue this investment drive? Suleiman Ukoni believes this can be done if indigenous entrepreneurs and stakeholders in the mining sector are given the chance to manage the full production and exports of minerals.
The Chamber is keen on making public the opportunities in our value chain, and in line with this, we launched about 3 months ago the local content portal, which provides transparency and an insight into the procurement plans of our members and gives local businesses the opportunity to participate in these opportunities.
Ghana is Africa's largest gold producer and also a major producer of bauxite, manganese and diamonds.
You're watching Business Live. We are taking a short break. We'll be right back. Hi everyone, welcome back to the program. It's Monday, and that's when we get to bring you an update on the stock market. Joining me in studio tonight is Bertha Atibiga of Gold Coast Fund Management. She's got all the details, she's got all the figures for you. Let's start with the sector performance, because we are getting indication that the petroleum sector is delivering some great returns. Tell us about that.
Okay, thank you very much, and that is very true. If you look at the average returns that we're getting for the petroleum sector on the stock market, you know, we have different sectors, but the petroleum sector as of Friday was giving us an average return of 38.56%, which is very wide, and none of the sectors is actually returning averagely as at now at that level. You look at GOL has returned 1.23% to investors so far, and total 45.89%. Though they are not the top returning equities current, they are among the top returning equities, but not the highest returning equity on the stock market. We have other equities such as Societe Generale, which has returned as of Friday 56.10% to investors, which is quite significant. And the market is still bullish, and most equities are returning positively to investors.
But what do we attribute to this performance in the petroleum sector? I mean, what can we relate it to?
One thing that we can look at is the financials of these companies. You know, last year, GOL did very well in terms of their performance. Total did very well as well. But if you look at investor confidence in GOL and the shares that we see trading in GOL, it's quite high. And especially in the petroleum sector, we can say the demand for these equities is high, and the financials of these equities are also a factor that's also encouraging investors to invest in these equities. And it's quite impressive. And you can also say the general market is bullish, so these equities are moving in that same direction. Okay,
we expect a very vibrant week this week. Tell us about your projections for the week based on last week's performance.
This week, we're expecting a lot of equities to trade. Like today, we had over 70,000 shares, 79,500 shares trading at 274,457 Ghana cedis. However, we had some equities losing, but that doesn't mean that the week is going to be a very bad one. No, we're still going to see a very bullish week like we had last week. We're expecting more equities to trade on the stock market, and we also expect more equities to add up to investors' capital, SIC, and then we also expect Standard Chartered Bank and EGL to add up to investors' capital by close of this week. But one thing that we also want to bring out is, you know, all the equities are doing very well. Some equities, as at this point, are overpriced. That their prices are relatively high comparing to what investors and analysts we expected to be looking at their books and all that. And we're expecting these equities to come down, though the market is bullish. We're expecting them to be corrected. In that case, we see them losing or shedding off some gains, some pesos on the market to be corrected. And a typical example is Fan Milk. We expect Fan Milk to shed off some gains. It's not a bad equity, and I'll advise that those who don't have shares in Fan Milk take an opportunity to buy shares in Fan Milk when the price comes down marginally. And last week, Fan Milk went down. It was part of the equities that lost on their week open prices. And if you look at the equities that traded today, Access Bank lost 12 pesos. It was the top absolute loser on the market, and it's currently at 3.69 pesos per share. HFC also lost a peso. EGL lost 3 pesos to close at 4.47 pesos. SIC and Soji GH went up further by 1 peso each to close at 1.29 pesos per share for Societe Generale.
Let's talk about the city. It was a disappointing start to the year, but we are ending the month on a positive note, I mean, a marginal recovery from what we have seen previously. Tell us about that one.
Okay, so if you look at even the year-to-date depreciation of the cedi against major trading partners on the international market, the dollar, the pound, and the euro, comparing it to previous day, the cedi is currently recording a year-to-date of 2.07%. Previous day, that was on Thursday, the cedi had lost to these major trading currencies by 2.47%, and that is an improvement as compared to what we saw. And to the dollar, we didn't see any change, but the pound and the euro are still worrying, let me put it that way, because the pound has lost 4.97% as compared, and then the euro has lost 3.72%. But this is also better than what we saw previous day, where they closed at 5.97% and 4.50%.
All right, thank you very much, Bertha Atubiga, for that update. Hope to see you same time next week. Well, moving on to our interview of the day now, the Association of Ghana Industries has indicated that it is in talks with the China National Building Material Company over interest we paid on a $2 billion facility. The funds are expected to help their members interested in undertaking projects under the One District, One Factory initiative. Now, even though the association is silent on the expected interest we paid, it believes that it could be more than 5%. President of the association, Dr. Yao Edujemfi, has been speaking to Joy Business.
Interview of the day.
And the MOU, the final agreement will be signed once we agree on the interest, and that will be done a month or two. It should be done. So definitely, of course, once all of us agree the methodologies and the things that has to be done to get this done, I think we arrive at a better conclusion, and it will be done very soon.
How much interest have you? What's the percentage of interest have you agreed?
We haven't agreed yet.
Okay, so I'm fine to say that's what has been dragging.
That is what is dragging, and once we arrive at it, we'll be able to move forward.
How soon are you likely to?
It's between us. We are talking.
When is the next meeting with them?
The next meeting with them, next week we are meeting with them. They have representatives in Ghana, the office in the I1D1F office. So we are in constant collaboration with them, and we will arrive at something.
So the interest will be one of the major issues to be.
Exactly, and it will be done, because if you are going to pay a higher interest, what is a bother? We must well stick with our own local banks, but we need a reasonable, with a long tenor, so that people can work and pay. It is not free money, it's a loan, and therefore we should be comfortable with what we are doing.
Interview of the day.
And there's more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Darryl Carl. That's it for Business Live. We're back same time tomorrow.